Hey, what's up, Rejects? Thank you so much for pushing play on this next episode. But before we begin, I got to talk about Next Rung. Next Rung and its co-founder Blake Stinnett are doing so many amazing things for the fire service community and first responders all across the country. They exist to make an impact in the lives of firefighters and first responders. They provide quality resources that will help combat mental health issues that plague our profession. And if you're listening to this, you probably have an idea of what I'm talking about. And when I say resources, I don't mean EAP or counselors with no relatability of what we actually go through. These are people that are on the front lines or they're actually trained to deal with the calls and the mental health problems that we have on a day-to-day basis. From peer support, counseling, and professional treatment against addiction, they are just one text away. If you can text support, counseling, or treatment, whatever you need, to 833-698-7864 or email info@nextrung.org. Please get the resources that you need. You don't have to struggle in silence. Contact Next Rung today. Now let's get to the show.
I'm not saying that I have a spark because I'm Mr. Billy Badass and I'm a fire god. Not at all. I just want you to care. Like, if I can get you to care as much as I do, I think we'll be good because caring and passion is extremely contagious. So if I can get you to care and you can get that drive in you and then you start going out and doing things and you come back in a year and then you're Billy Badass, dude, I'm so happy. I'm so happy because the citizens deserve guys that are turned on to their job.
All right. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Relentless Rejects podcast, episode 48. We took a little bit of a break. If you know my personal life, you know that my little daughter was in the hospital for a little bit, and I'm a family first guy, so I had to take a step back from bringing in the amazing guests to tell their stories so I can focus on mine and get my head right. But now we are back, and I get to bring on one of my friends, someone I've actually chopped it up with at conferences and trained with, and he's no stranger to social media and podcasting on his own. He's up and coming, and I hope this just gets his name out there, and I hope he's a household name if he's not already in your household, which he should be. But without further ado, Josh Watt, sir, how are you doing today?
Doing good, man. Thanks. Thank you for inviting me here. It's always a pleasure to come in and talk to cool guys. Yeah, like you said, I met you in Kansas 2 years ago. I think, yeah, 2 years ago. You came in and taught or took one of our search classes, and yeah, hit it off with you. I learned a little bit about very surface level bit about podcasting from you. Um, and yeah, so I'm humbled to be here, and I appreciate the opportunity, man.
Yeah, dude. And for the guests that don't know Josh, I actually sat through one of his lectures this year in Kansas, and he comes in soft, and then he finishes real hot. So just be ready for that. I'm going to give you guys a forewarning. But yeah, dude, we met in Kansas a couple years ago, and I was still very new in the podcasting realm, but somewhat known around. And then you were asking me outside of a podunk ass bar in the middle of Parsons, Kansas, about how to just get the start. And you were running your idea of black hat behavior by me. And I was like, dude, the people need that. The people absolutely need that. And just like said, run with it. And you are, which is great. We're going to touch base on that. But before we get too far ahead, everybody knows that we like to do family first on the podcast because it's so easy to say it, but it's so hard to do. So this is your moment to acknowledge anybody that's important to you in your life. Family first section. Go ahead.
Cool. Well, first, my family. I'm married. I got my wife, Taylor. We've been married for 10 years. She's awesome. She's a full-time mom now. We got two boys, and then we got one boy on the way. He'll be here next month. So coming up pretty soon. And she retired medically out of the army and took over the house, and in a good way. She runs this ship, and we're all just passengers, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, Taylor's awesome. She's the only reason I'm allowed to be able to be a firefighter, um, and pour so much of my time and energy into firefighting. If it wasn't for her, I don't think I'd be a very good person, let alone fireman. So I got two boys, Kalen and Owen. Kalen's 7. Owen just turned 6. Little hooligans. They little jujitsu guys that little like to run around and wrestle each other and color and do all sorts of crazy stuff. We homeschool them. They're both trying to raise them to be good young men. And so that's my immediate family. Other important people to me, real quick. I'm gonna dime them out here, and I'm gonna say their name, and it's gonna feel really weird, but uh, biggest one of my biggest role models right now for me is my captain, Matt Bryan, uh, who I know you've met in Kansas, and he's not a very sociable. He doesn't love the social attention, but I'm gonna dime him out anyway because I have a job because of him, and I've learned a lot about leadership and the impact that you can have without being an officer from him. So have to throw his name out there, and of course Drury and Logan and all the guys that I look up to down here in Texas. So
Yeah,
that's my family.
I gotta do an inventory on the guest list. I think Texas is taking the lead as far as how many where people are from on the podcast. There's Texas boys are just doing awesome shit down in Texas. Um, dude, Matt Bryan, when I've the first time I met him, it's funny because when he was teaching, he was wearing a black helmet. I'm like, oh man, this is a fucking dialed firefighter. He's a nerd, and you came over and you're like, he's actually a captain, dude. Don't let him fool you.
Yeah,
But that's why. But like you said, like he doesn't want like this spotlight put on him. He doesn't want the acknowledgement. He doesn't need to be called sir. He just wants to be known as a great fireman. And yeah, I remember training with him a couple years ago. There's a little bit of downtime, and he just walks around this acquired structure that we're at, and he's like, "Hey, whoever wants to learn how to splice ladders, come back here, and I'll show you how to splice ladders real quick." Just in the middle of downtime, because he's just like, "What can we keep doing?" He can't sit still, and he went out there, and it was super cool training, just free training in the middle of downtime. That's the kind of person that he is. So yes, he probably hates the fact that we're talking about him right now,
yeah,
but
definitely.
yeah, he's dialed, and yes, he deserves the shout out. Absolutely. Um, cannot go without mentioning, since we're mentioning people, I cannot go without mentioning Matt Valdez, who's
Yeah,
part of the MV
rocking the
rescue
hat, bro.
training. Yeah, absolutely, rocking the hat right now. He's a big reason why we were even out there in Kansas, and we got an opportunity to meet each other. He's pretty humble dude too. But I just got to give him a shout out. Congratulations, he just got married not too long ago.
Yes,
So,
sir.
but yeah, so dude, talking about family, real quick. Can you touch on how you met your wife?
Yeah, cool story, crazy story. I don't know. Depends on who you are, I guess. But I joined the army in 2014, and so did she. And through a series of uh, unfortunate slash fortunate events, depends on who you are, she ended up in my platoon at basic training, and I was the assistant platoon leader, so the student led, like the student cadre essentially, right, in charge of my platoon, and she was my first squad leader, and then my platoon leader got fired, and so she got pulled up to be platoon leader, and we worked together for, oh man, she got pulled up I think like day 4, and basic, and normally we go through student leaders every day to every other day, and we made it from day 4 to, oh man, how long's basic, like 9 weeks or something like that. It was about a week and a half before graduation when they were like, look, you guys get it. You work together really well, before they let us go. So yeah, that's how we met. Is she and I would be battle buddies. So if you've been in the military or talked to people in the military in basic training, and so IET, initial entry training, you're not allowed to be alone with a female if you're a male soldier, and likewise. So typically you have to have two and two or two and one, and that's for safety and all that stuff. Also, they don't want people fraternizing because it's not the point of going to basic. That's not why you're there. The exception with that is the leadership. So we were always in front of formation together, and then I would go inside and I'd hold up the chow hall and stuff, and then she would do the same thing as well. And so we spent a lot of time talking to each other, spending time one on one essentially with the platoon, like the the squads would be in formation and they're all next to each other, and then we'd be separated. So we spent thousands of hours really together talking and stuff. And then yeah, I asked her to marry me after like a month and a half of basic training. So I was like, yep, this is cool. I like you a lot. I guess will you marry me? Didn't have a ring to give her. I made a ring out of an ammo can clip, man. It was like the little twist ties that you pop off on the handles for the ammo cans. I twisted it all up and I was like, hey, you can't wear this, but you want to marry me someday? And she was like, yeah, sure, I guess. And then, yeah, we split ways for a while until December. So we finished basic in I think March, um, and then went to AIT. She went to Texas, and I went to Virginia, and we didn't see each other till December again in person when we got married, and we weren't sure if it was going to happen just because military leave and all that jazz. But got married, and we've been married since.
You are one of the successful early marriages in the military and not get a divorce.
Yeah,
Like,
well, uh, she and I have been through a lot, and there's nothing we don't hide it anymore. Like we were not always great, and uh, I think the only thing that kept us together was stupidity and stubbornness, on both sides, right? Like this is mostly about me here. Not she's not as dumb as I am at all. She's very smart.
as dumb.
Yeah, well, we make mistakes, right? But I make more
Yeah,
mis I'm a
for
mistake
sure.
maker, and uh, yeah, now we're the best we've ever been. Um, we're super excited bringing baby three into the world, and like I said, she's the only reason I could be a decent person and a decent fireman. I think.
Yeah. If you can make it happen in the military, you can pretty much make it happen anywhere because I think the highest divorce rate in the country is military.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I had it in my slide in my presentation. It's the second is the fire service because of our schedule and it's really hard to be away from home and expect the spouse to, like you said, like run the house and make all these decisions when you're the only one there and the other one's gone.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And that's
well,
if you're doing
congrats,
it like perfectly, you know?
dude. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm truly envious of you that you get to homeschool your kids and Mama Bear gets to stay home now and run the house. You know, my wife's a freaking badass, right? She works in healthcare. She makes more money than I do, and she still runs the house and bosses me around. And I'm like, hey, it works for us though because I cannot be with a pushover type female because I'm still immature and stupid, and I would spend all my money on stupid shit if I could. So I need a woman like mine to put her foot down and be like, no, you are not going to spend all this money, and you're not going to buy a Sprinter van just because you think camping in a Sprinter van would be cool, but you don't even know. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
she's
absolutely.
she's the voice of reason in my household. Yeah.
That's funny.
But dude, congratulations to your family. Congratulations on your third boy coming in.
Thank you.
Three boys. I got nothing but women in my house, so jealous of you there. But let's talk about this topic, man. Family work life balance, right? It's we talked about being away from the house and trying to maintain things. You're a person of ambition. We talked about you teaching in Kansas. You got Black Hack Behavior. You're running a podcast. How are you balancing about to be three children in the house and in a successful marriage on top of everything?
Yeah, trial and error, man. Um, if I'm being brutally honest with everything, I'm not perfect at all, and it I am a lot better than I was when I first started. So now it's, I approve everything through her being my wife first, right? Uh, Overtime comes out and I want it. I don't care if I want it. Doesn't matter how bad I need it. Doesn't matter. I got to call and or at least text, like, hey, nothing's on the calendar, but I just want to run it by you. Are you cool if I take 24 hours? And it seems like a simple shift, right? To say out loud, like, yeah, just ask her first. And she has only said no one time, and it's because I forgot about something. But the shift for me of being like, hey, are you cool if I take this overtime versus just taking the overtime, has made a drastic impact on the way I think that we see each other. I mean, I have some bad examples. I did not have a healthy work-life balance. I'd gotten to the fire service of West Virginia. They did not have the rules of you can only work for 3 days in a row. They had the rule, but they didn't enforce it. So I've worked 8 days in a row, had a day off, and then worked another like six. I was just picking overtime as much as I could because mentally wasn't all right, and I didn't know how to take care of it. So I would just drown myself in work. And to say it didn't have an effect on anybody would be a bold faced lie, right? I was spending my whole entire life at the fire department. There's my boy peeking in. Sorry, he's like, "What are you doing in there, Dad?" Um, but like, if I was just gone, and I mean, Taylor and I are used to being apart. We spent the first 3 years of our marriage apart, from both of us being in the military training. I deployed right before I got back. She deployed. Um, so, and then we were finally stationed together. And so we're used to being apart. But I think in the fire service, it's a little bit different because I'm coming home every 2 days for me, right? For 48s. If you're working at 24, you're coming home in the morning the next day. And your partner, if your partner is solid, they're okay and they can cope and they can handle being gone from you for 24 hours, but it's it's not super cash money of you to just dip out and be like, "Hey, I picked up overtime." Like, okay, all you had to do was ask. Like, if you had a bag of chips, right, and I just took a chip from you, you'd be like, "What the heck, dude?" But if I was like, "Hey, man, can I grab one of those chips from you?" And you'd be like, "Oh yeah, of course, yeah, here you go," right? Super silly example, but all you have to do is ask, and it's the thought of asking and being like, "Hey, I see what you're doing in the house, right? You run the house, you run this ship, and I'm just asking you and making sure that you're cool and understand why I want to be gone for another day." That's made it a drastic difference. It'd be actually really interesting to talk to her and see what's changed. Um, but that's the simplest thing that I could say is if you're gonna take overtime, work overtime if you want to work overtime, but just ask your significant other like, "Hey, are you okay if I do it?" And they'll be like, "Yeah, because money's great."
Yeah. Well, I think people, I want to say guys, but I don't mean to say just the dudes. But I think guys get ahead of themselves by justifying overtime of like, hey, I'm bringing in more money. You should just be happy with the fact that I'm bringing in more money. But I think what people don't understand is that just because you're bringing in extra money, you're losing that time. You're losing that time with your spouse, and it's easy for a spouse to have a routine based on your schedule. So if you're running 24/48 with a Kelly day, they can look at the calendar and they can plan things. They're like, all right, he's working here, and so I can start scheduling things when I know he's home. And then when you're all of a sudden gonna be like, oh no, I'm working overtime that day. You can't go see your mom or something like that.
Yep.
And then that's where the resentment comes. And I've met my wife in particular. I've met some spouses that resent the fire service because we give more to the fire service. We go to the firehouse. We're hanging out with the boys. We're training. We're working out. We're fucking whatever you want to call it, playing pickleball, watching movies. We're having a great time, and our spouse is at home with two little minions running around the house.
Oh yeah.
She can't even brush her teeth by herself. And we're like, oh well, I'm working overtime. I'm bringing in extra money. It's like, no, fuck you, dude. Like, I need some adult time.
Yeah,
You know?
100%.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's a struggle, dude. But I want to talk about one other thing that you mentioned as well. You said that you would work because you had problems and you didn't know how to deal with them, so you would work. Can you dive into that a little bit?
Sure, man. I still don't know how to deal with them. I'll just be honest, right? And this is a big, still, it's still taboo, even though it's not, right? Like, there's so many resources and stuff, but um, I think we could do a whole nother episode on that too. But yeah, man, I was a young guy. I mean, younger, older than some people getting in the fire service, but I was prior service. I tried welding, so I'm older, right? And I get in the fire service. I'm a rookie, which is cool. Rookie goes on the box where I was raised, right? And so, and that's cool. That's fine. I don't love that. I wouldn't do that to my guys if I were ever a company officer. However, wasn't my decision. So I got to ride the box and I got really good at medical stuff on at the EMT side, right? The problem was is where I was working just had some really crappy calls. And that paired with, military stuff, I didn't know how to cope. Um, and so I was the first job, really big job that I had was the Army. And you don't talk about it. In fact, like I remember going to BH or behavioral health was it wasn't stigmatized. They wouldn't count against you because that's what every commander is going to tell you. But as soon as you scheduled a BH appointment, you're non-deployable. So I'm not going to be non-deployable. That's dumb. Not in my unit. Absolutely not. So you just don't talk about it, and then you just bury yourself in booze. But I couldn't do that in when I first got in the fire service because I was working so often. So I would just decide to just not go home. Like if I'm busy at work, I don't have a break. I can't separate it. Um, it's my brain doesn't run away and start thinking about stuff because well, I don't have time. I'm here. I'm sharpening a chainsaw, or I'm cleaning my gear, or I'm doing another workout, or I'm checking the box for the 17,000th time because I'm been on the box for 7 days in a row, or I'm pulling hose lines, or I'm just gonna go, I don't know, do some online training, whatever. And I would just keep myself busy, but I wouldn't sleep very good. And yeah, I would just drown myself in work. And she, to her credit, was like, "You're gonna kill yourself like this. Like it's gonna drive you insane." And I was like, "Nah, you're fine, whatever, whatever, lady. You don't know me. Yeah, we've only been married for like 6 years at this point. You don't know me." And, and then she's like, "Nah, it's gonna drive you insane." And eventually, it broke. We hit a real rough patch, and we grew through it, thankfully. But yeah, no, that's the way I've always been taught to cope. Right? Is well, if you're having an issue, we're gonna nail this issue until it's not a problem anymore. Oh, you can't do push-ups? How does the military fix that? You're just gonna do a bajillion push-ups until you can't move. But you can't run? That's fine. You can come to me and not know how to run. I'm just gonna make you run. Like I'm not gonna teach you how to run, but I'm just gonna tell you how to run, and you're just gonna do it for 20 miles every day. You have to, right? So it's the same thing. You don't know how to cope with things because you just watched this 2-year-old die. Like, well, now you're just gonna go on every call because if you go on no calls, then your brain's gonna think about it. You don't know how to process it, and you can't talk about it because that's weak shit. And so we're just gonna bottle it away and just keep going on calls and see more stuff, and then eventually you'll break and whatever. So that was where I was at for a long time in West Virginia, and it affected not just my family, but it affected me. And I had a really good relationship with my mentor there. His name's Josh Mills, and we had a huge falling out. Wouldn't talk to each. I wouldn't talk to him. We were on the same shift. I wouldn't talk to him at all. Um, there was other things involved too, decisions that I had made, and we had a really big falling out because of that. And I can directly attribute that to being a dumbass and picking up 8 days in a row as much as I could.
Yeah. And you know what I was thinking when we see guys that are just showing up and immersing themselves in the work, we don't really think about the mental health aspect of it. We're like, this dude's just really into the job. Like he's so dialed, he's so driven. I like having this guy around the firehouse. And then we don't even think about it's so hard to see it maybe though. But like, why is this guy always here? Like, I know you have family at home. Why are you not at home? We don't feel comfortable confronting each other with those conversations, right? Did people on your crew notice though at all?
Once I broke, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Not
I was
not not
talking,
until then, but yeah.
dude. I was just talking to Blake Stinnett about this stuff. He goes, why do we praise? And I'm paraphrasing, but he's like, Why do we praise and dive ourselves deep into the tactics of things on the fireside, but we don't put that same time and energy into like the relationships and the mental health of our crew?
It's
You know,
hard.
it's that thing. It's that thing. It's like we don't talk about it, man. I was that guy too, especially when I was younger. That was like we run a shitty call and we'd get it, we'd huddle up and it's like, is everybody good? Does anybody need anybody to talk to? And I'm like, nah, man, no. This is what we do. This is what we do. This is what we get paid for. And same thing with me though. I ran a stillborn call and I'm like, I can't anymore. I can't. Yeah.
Yeah, it took coming here to Converse where I'm working now, and uh, we ran a, I don't know how in depth you want to go here, but I'm fine with whatever. So if I go too far, let me know. But we ran a cardiac arrest at 4 in the morning. I was on the box with a guy named Rubio, and of course the engine's gonna follow us. And we get there, and I know this house. I know the patient. She's a 9 year old. We had just transported her 2 weeks prior for some stuff, and so I knew her favorite color. I know her family. It's not a super great situation. She was an Irish twin, so um, her sister was less than 18 months older than her, um, and it was a hanging. And so like I've never had that reaction on a call where I go inside. I know, we get updates on the way, right? That's anyone in the fire service knows that you're getting notes, CAD updates, and PD's on scene says, that's a hanging. So I was like, okay, well, hey Rubio, I was a basic. I was about to finish paramedic school at this point. I was like, hey man, I'm just gonna go inside. You grab the monitor and the engine's coming, so they can grab everything else. But I'm just gonna go inside and see what we got first, just to make sure. Like I don't know, just eyes on. And it's a PED call, so PEDs are hard anyway. But yeah, I made the doorway. PD's kind of outside the bedroom, so I made the doorway. Go inside, see her, which it's obvious immediately. Um, and I stop everybody from coming in. Like Ruby was about to make the door, and I was like, absolutely the fuck not. Don't come in here. Uh, Told the engine. I think we canceled the engine. They made scene anyway, like any reasonable guy would do. But we canceled the engine. Didn't let Rubio in the room. Um, and that was the first time I've ever had the reaction of went downstairs, went outside, fine, composed, um, got to the box, and just boom, hit me right there. Ugly, nasty. I haven't cried in, dude, I haven't cried in years. Uh, and it was about a 10-second of what the fuck is happening to me. And then they're like, we need to go tell the dad. And I was like, oh, okay. And then it went away, right? So, um, it took that for me to finally be like, look, um, I don't want this to happen again. I don't want to get there, and I'm still not perfect at it. Um, but yeah, the guys that are some guys are just truly motivated and they're happy and they have everything going well. I know a couple like that. I know several like that who are genuinely okay. They've got great support and they're just into the job and cruising along, getting into it, just pouring energy into it, and that's awesome. Um, but yeah, it's too often I think it's this dude's motivated to the point of like questionable question. It's like you're motivated, but brother, like you're really motivated, and then you come inside and you don't sleep. You don't go to bed until like 2 in the morning every day, and we're busy. So why are you not getting in bed? I'm just can't sleep, whatever. And I'm speaking from experience, right? I just can't sleep, whatever. I have a hard time. Okay. And then you see him get a phone call, and it's an immediate facial change, right? Their face changes, and you're just like, what the fuck is going on? And so I think too often they're not okay, and then they're cloaking it through, I'm just gonna beat my body into submission because once I beat my body into submission, I'm so tired that my mind doesn't care. Um, yeah, and I think if you're asking if you would ever ask my opinion on why I think people do that, and it's a hard conversation to have about everything that's going on. It's because they don't teach that shit in any of our books, man.
Mm.
Uh, Fire Officer One. What does Fire Officer One teach? Nothing. No tactics, right? Like, it's how to compile a report and do all this other basic level stuff that you could give in a PowerPoint in about 20 seconds and be fine. Instructor One doesn't teach you anything about the right kind of lighting for a room. Like, yeah, I get that. That's important, right? Sure, okay.
How to
When you're
arrange the chairs.
Yeah, I don't give a crap about the chairs, man. I care about the people in the chairs. So if I can set up this beautiful presentation for you, I can have this slide that's just the best thing ever. And if you show up and you're fucked in the head, my message isn't going to be delivered anyway. You're not going to hear me. You can't hear me when you're not here, or you're worrying about, like, I was able to. My wife said I could go to the conference, but I've been gone for 6 days. Like, damn, I wonder what's going on. Are the kids okay? I haven't seen them in a week. Uh, you're not gonna listen, and even if you do listen, it's not gonna stick. Retention is already trash, for learning stuff the first time. So if your retention's already low, why are we going to risk that even more? But I think the real reason is because it's hard. Nobody teaches you how to do it, and Psychs are cool. Shrinks, I call them shrinks, right? Shrinks are really cool. I think they try their best, but it's just it's not something that is practiced enough by guys who are willing to put themselves out there and be vulnerable to listen. Because I think it's just as hard to listen to someone talk about it as it is to talk about it.
Yeah. Speaking about the shrinks, right? The hardest thing about firefighters seeking help is I don't want to sit across from a dude that has a bunch of certificates and degrees and has read a bunch of books, but has no concept of what we see on a call. Half the time when we're explaining things about hangings and stillborns and vehicle extrications where people are mangled inside the car, and you try to explain that to them, they're like, yeah, what were you thinking in them? I'm like, what the fuck? What do you mean? What was I thinking? They just don't understand. And I think that's why a lot of firefighters don't seek out that help. But I think what we're trying to get at is that in the firehouse is where a lot of therapy needs to happen. We need to be our brother's keeper in that sense.
I totally agree. Um, I think it's a interesting, healthy balance. You got to have a balance, right? Like, so I'm an engineer, which means I get a little bit more influence on my shift if I deserve it. And I work really close with my cap, right? It's me and my cap every time. We're across the front from each other, and I every time this is something that I've started trying to do and trying to push, and I'm not trying to draw attention to it as in, like, oh, look at me. It's like, no, this is I feel like this should be normal because we're trying to take care of each other. Anytime we have a P call, a true, like, it comes out as a cardiac arrest as pediatric, or there's a vehicle electrocution, it happens to be a pediatric. Anything that is for sure from the dispatch going to be gnarly. Uh, if we're available, I always ask, "Hey, Cap, can we slow roll? Let's go slow roll to these dudes, right? We'll get the box when they come back because if they're transporting, we're not going to drive it all the way to the hospital to be out of district, but we'll wait. We'll get them when they come back. But, like, try to go support and just say, hey, you don't got to talk about anything right now, man. But we're here. We're. I would rather. I'd rather get yelled at and have that rash reaction that normally happens, right? If someone's really having a hard time, I'd rather you say that to me than you go home and you do that to your wife, or you do that to your kid, or you don't do it at all. Even more scarily, you don't do it at all, and then uh, you just bottle it up, and then you end up shooting yourself or killing yourself because you just can't take it. And dude, I would rather wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning every single day and drive the ladder over to your station or over to where you're at and sit there, be dog tired, and just have you not say a word to me than you go home and I have not done that, and I don't see you ever again, right? Yeah, I'm trying to make that like a thing where it might not be possible every single time because we're busy, right? So I'm might be on a call or something, but somebody from your crew, you trust your crew, right? Everybody talks about crew integrity and loving your crew. Fucking prove it, man. Show up. All you gotta do is show up. It takes, well, we're a small district, so yeah, it takes 5 minutes for me to drive from station one to station two. I don't even have to say a word about the call. And often it doesn't help to say anything about the call because I wasn't there. So I'm just gonna sit next to you. Hey man, whatever you need. I'm just gonna say bullshit with you. Do whatever you gotta do. You want to hit a workout? You want us to cover you for 30 minutes? We can cover you for an hour. Whatever you need. I've noticed that it hasn't been talked about yet, really formally, but I think the dudes notice, and it's reciprocated now from the engine. The engine will come down to us, like just out of the blue, right? If we get something like that, and they're like, "Hey, what y'all need?" Right? So, um, I think that's an easy way for any level guy, but especially your officers. If there's any officers that listen, right? How do you want to build morale, especially after you guys see some hard shit? Well, go fucking check on them, and don't call them. Don't call them because I can tell you whatever you want on the phone, and I'm a really good liar about over the phone, man. You okay? Absolutely. Hey, man, I'm gonna lay down real quick. Talk to you later, and then I stay awake until the next day. Um, Show up. All you gotta do is show up, and just your presence. Don't say a word, man. Just sit at the table. Sit at the table with them. Invite them to the table, and if you got a bay, we have at station two. We have a nice little seating area that we've made out there. We built the table and got some couches that we found on the side of the road, and that's the spot, dude. 2 o'clock in the morning, you go out there in the bay. Everybody's just chill, right? It's even more casual than the kitchen table. Kitchen table's a sanctuary, but this place is an oasis, dude. An oasis of just brotherhood in the true sense of the word, and that's where everything that's where everything unpacks. And you don't have to say a goddamn word about the call, and it's amazing the impact that it has on guys.
Yeah, dude, powerful, absolutely powerful. And my 2 cents on that is one of the most dangerous phrases that we say to one another is, "Hey man, whatever you need, just let me know," and leave it at that. Whatever you need, let me know. You need something, let me know. I got you. Like that phrase is nice. It makes you feel good when you say it to somebody that you know needs you, that you know is hurting. They're not going to ask for your help. And I know that when I was sitting in the ICU with my daughter just 3 weeks ago, I got a lot of, "Hey man, whatever you need, just let me know." But and I appreciate every single one of those. And there's a lot of guys that can't do anything, right? Like out of state, across the country. I get that. But there was a handful of people that took action, no questions asked. And I will never forget those people.
Yeah, yeah,
They just showed up in whatever way they possibly could, right? I mentioned Blake Stinnett, right? He knew what was going on. Just sent me $50 on Venmo. "Hey man, buy yourself a cup of coffee and a good meal. Hospital food sucks." Right? That was it. And that action alone, I'm like, dude, I'm forever thankful to Blake. Steph White from Firefighter Nation. She was checking in on me, and I was like, I haven't fucking taken a shower in a week because I've been in the ICU with my daughter, and I don't want to leave her alone. She sent me $100. She goes, "Take a fucking shower, not for you, but for the nurses that have to deal with you." But dude, I'm not gonna forget that ever, right? I get to see her next week in FDIC, and I get to thank her in person.
dude. Yeah,
So yes, thank you to all the people that say that phrase of like, "Hey man, whatever you need, let me know." But just know that a lot of us are dumb ass, hard headed firemen that are never going to ask for help,
100%.
never ever. So you doing that call to action of show up, take care of your people, don't do a phone call, just show up. Like that is so powerful for anybody that hasn't gone through something like that. Just understand that it means a lot to those people.
Yes. Also, I'd
For
like
sure, man.
just one more thing. If you haven't gone through it, you're going to. I never believed that. I'm always the guy that's like, it hasn't happened to me, so it's probably not going to happen to me, right? I'm never going to experience this. It's going to happen. Whether it's you going through the shit or a close buddy of yours going through the shit, one of your crew members at some point in time is absolutely going to need something from you and not be able to ask you. Um, and hopefully you know your crew enough to be able to pick up on that. Um, I think that every firefighter, well, I mean, that's a jaded example now, but every firefighter that I talk to that I know knows someone or knows of someone closely who wasn't able to get what they needed and killed themselves. Um, it's a small community, the fire service, even though there's thousands and thousands and thousands of us. We're really not that big. So um, the fallacy of it's not gonna, I'm built different or my crew's built different. I I'm sure they are. I'm sure y'all are. But it's inevitable. So prevention is key. Prevention is better than picking up somebody and having to carry them.
Yes, absolutely, man. And this was never meant to be a, like a mental health conversation, dude.
Yeah.
We just kind of jumped down this rabbit hole, but I think it's absolutely important because the suicide rate this year alone for firefighters, you can have the biggest name in the fire service and have made the biggest impact, and it still does not escape you. Like the suicide, mental health, it doesn't, it affects everybody. So we need to do a better job. And I know Blake Sinnett has even lost hours of sleep trying to figure out the way to solve that problem, and it can't just be him. But you know, I drop his name a lot because he's someone that's helped me out of the darkness. So um, yes. Well, dude, let's try to bring in some positivity to this conversation, man. I appreciate everybody that listened to that. It was very powerful. Thank you, Josh, for being vulnerable and sharing your story. Absolutely.
Amen.
Um, Hey, what's up, Rejects? Real quick, are you looking for a way to help promote the show? Because as you know, this platform, this community, this podcast has grown organically through word of mouth, through people like you sharing it to like minded individuals. So if you can please do so, it's absolutely free. Like, share, subscribe, leave a review either on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, wherever you listen to your podcast or watch it. That would be much appreciated. Number two, on Instagram, for $2.99, you can actually be a subscriber at the Relentless Rejects on Instagram, and you can actually be behind the scenes and help come up with questions for future guests, recommend future guests, talk about products, tactics, just reach out to like-minded individuals. It is super cheap, $2.99. You can help grow the platform behind the scenes if you feel compelled to do so there. And three, this is a new one. We had our first batch of merch of shirts and hoodies come in, and I don't know how to say this, but they're all sold out already before I even got a shop set up on a website. So if you are interested in snagging a hat, a hoodie, or a t-shirt, and there are challenge coins on the way, please message me on Facebook or Instagram if you are interested in merch coming soon. And with that, I appreciate you so much. Back to the show. Let's spin it up, dude. Black hat behavior. I told you offline. I wish I had come up with that, not that name. That I don't want to say brand. Ooh, we got to talk about that in a little bit. But I don't. I didn't want to. Yeah, dude. Black hat behavior is an awesome name. Where did that come from, and what is it all about?
Perfect. So black hat behavior, right? It's an ideal. Um, it's there. It's always developing for me. But I started at the City of Converse as a probationary firefighter, rookie, and I had a yellow helmet issued to me. Bright banana helmet. It was freaking cool. Whatever. I didn't care. Honestly, I was happy to be there. Um, I came to Converse. I caught a structure fire on my first day, and I was on the engine, man. So like, literally no complaints, right? But I noticed all these other firefighters, man. They had these black helmets, and I was in West Virginia when I first started in the fire service, and yellow helmet meant lieutenant for us. So yellow helmet was a lieutenant, white helmet was a battalion chief or higher. We didn't have any other. We had black, yellow, and white. We didn't have probationary shields there. Um, we just knew we were the only career department also. So in our very large area, right? So the surrounding area was all volunteer. We were the only career. So we knew who our probies were. And the county would have red helmets for exterior firefighters. So here in Texas is completely different. Um, you've got your at Converse. We've changed it since then, but when I first started, it was yellow helmet for probationary firefighter or paramedic. If you're off probation and you're a firefighter, you get a black helmet. If you're off probation and you're paramedic only, you get a blue helmet. And then officers, lieutenants, and captains are red, and chief officer obviously is white. So I've had a lot of conversations with my captain, Matt Bryan, right? Uh, I'm gonna call him out every single time I can, man, because like I can. So he explained to me like you don't have to have rank to have an impact. And I've always known that, right? I've was part of a soft community in the army, and it didn't matter what rank you were. If you were the subject matter expert, you were the subject matter expert. The battalion commander would listen to the specialist. So the full bird colonel will absolutely take orders from a specialist on mission because he knows what he's doing. If he's asking you to do something, he knows what he's doing, right? So I knew that. I've seen that before, but I wasn't raised like that in West Virginia. It was very much, I'm the officer, or I'm your mentor, so do, and it shall be done, right? So Black Hat behavior came about because I believe in mentorship and leadership more than I care about everything else. You can be the most gung ho dude who is would get a 100 out of 100 on practical skills and experience and everything, right? You what most people typically think of this amazing firefighter, um, and it doesn't mean anything to me if you're a trash mentor or you refuse to mentor by yourself. So black hat behavior is akin to informal leadership, right? Black hat behavior is the guy who's, I'm going to ask you the hard questions, right? I'm going to come to you and be like, hey, we vent this way. Why do we vent this way? And I mean it. Why? Just tell me why so I can understand it. Because if I can understand the why, then I can do the how. That's no big deal. But, and then you say, well, that's because how we're taught. Nah, not good enough. Let's go figure it out. Uh, by myself. I don't need an officer to do this. Hey, let's see. We'll use guys. We'll use guys on my crew. We won't use guys on my crew. We'll just, hey man, uh, I don't know enough about this. Can you teach me about this? Yeah, sure, okay. Or the flip side, right? It's me to them. Hey man, what do you know about? Can you come show me these ladders? I work on a ladder truck, so a lot of truck stuff. But can you come show me these ladders? What do you know about these? And then they show me what they know. I was like, dude, that's really cool. Um, have you ever thought about this? Have you ever looked at it like this way? And it's the mentorship side, and it's the presenting the information in a way that anybody can receive it and everybody can learn. So yeah, black hat behavior is asking uncomfortable questions and knowing knowing how to push the limit without crossing a line. Right? I have a lot of leeway with my captain. I can say some pretty off the wall, off the cuff things in real time with him because of the trust that we've built, which everybody can do if you're just doing black hat behavior, man. What's a senior guy expected to do? The right thing, the hard thing. Um, that's I know it's a long-winded explanation, but it's really hard to put like a succinct thing behind it. It's an ideal. It's a way of life.
Yeah, I think what if I'm understanding this right though is like you being the mentor and making sure everybody, all the firefighters that have to do anything on the fire ground, you're not standing around waiting for a company officer to tell you what to do. You know why something needs to be done and you know how to do it. So you're not waiting for that top down approach of
But
like
yeah,
you just show up and you follow orders. You don't know why, but here's your order and you just go execute. It's you know the how and the why. You're a tactician and you're a student of the craft, and you, like you said, you're not just the only guy that can know how to do everything, and but you don't share that knowledge. You just hoard it to yourself because you want to be the badass. Like that's not the proper way of we do things around here. Like you're a mentor, but to be a mentor, you have to be an expert and you have to know the why.
Yeah. And I would go a step further, man. Yes, mentorship, if you have a formal mentorship program that's in place and you still have to volunteer and stuff like that, I appreciate that and I respect those things. We're trying to build one at Congress now. But even more important is it comes from you, right? Captain Brian will never have to tell me to do training. In fact, and we could someday I'll ask him and I'll text you just to make sure I didn't lie to you. But Captain Brian doesn't have to ask me or our crew anymore. Hey, what are you guys doing for training? Or why are you guys not out there? That never comes up because it's I see something and it's like, hey man, if I don't have a plan, I'll show up and be like, oh dude, I haven't touched that in a minute. How do I how do I pin the waterway on the aerial? Well, hey dude, backseat. When's the last time you did this, man? Because I haven't done it in like 6 months. So what have you done this? Tell me about it. And it's self-driven. A really good example was last tour. We had a guy working overtime from a different shift, and the cultures are different on our shifts, and that's fine. They should be a little bit different, right? We all work differently, different personalities, but their approach is, as respectful as I can say it, is top down. You're given what you're supposed to train on. You're given when and all this stuff, and that's a good model. It'll work. So there is value in that. But he came to our shift, excuse me, and we were talking about it. You know, he's inside of the table with a couple other dudes, the other back seats, and what am I doing? I'm the engineer, so I'm outside. I heard that we had some chainsaw problems with our chains. I got to figure them out. So where am I? I'm outside, man. I'm in the bay, in the table. I've got a podcast, the one that you shared or that you commented, turning it on. I forget the name of it, which is my memory's trash, but I turned that on. And I was just jamming away to that, listening to the guys talking about being instructors and teaching while I'm sharpening chains with a file right out there. The guys inside, one dude, Nick, he was like, "Look, I want to teach this dude vent. He's been on a different shift. He hasn't talked about vent in forever. We got some cool stuff that we learned about how to turn around roof ladders while you're on a steep pitch without having to stand up, and different ways that you can maneuver this roof, right?" On the other shift, that would have been a captain thing. On this shift, he's our junior dude at this station, our most junior guy, and he's like, "Hey, let's go do this. I'm gonna teach this guy." And everyone's like, dude, absolutely, right? So he comes out, he gathers all the salty senior dudes, right? We got a 22-year firefighter that he grabbed, and then he had another dude that's been at the department for 15 years. He grabbed captain. He grabbed our other dude who's been there 8 years, and then he grabbed me. He's like, "Hey, we're doing roof training like in 20 minutes. Let's go." And we're like, "All right, cool." Show up, and then he leads training. This dude that's been what most people would still call him a rookie, right? If you're in like New York or somewhere, like, oh, this rookie's teaching. Like, yeah, dude, this rookie went to a class and then he's done this on a roof and it works. And he's over here teaching this new guy, right? Like this other new guy a different technique. He taught me stuff. I'm learning stuff from this guy, right? So the biggest thing to me is you need to give me your initiative. I can teach you and it's great and I'll trust you. You can be great on calls. That's easy to do. Being good on calls is easy. So I don't count that anymore. Good job. You did the bare minimum. Um, like good job, genuinely, but also and like that's the expectation, my guy. So just because you're good on calls and that's cool, I can trust you on calls. Sweet. I can't trust you in the house yet. So come back and teach this guy. Show me that you care. That goes really far for me. And I think that's what encompasses black hat behavior. Because ultimately, if the officer's gone, right, what color helmet is the dude riding in his seat? when he's stepping
Probably
up.
black.
Black helmet.
Yep.
Absolutely. Unless he worked a trade or some shit. But no, like if Captain Brian leaves, I'm riding the seat. And then I've got a black helmet, thank God. And my step up driver, he's gonna come in, he's got a black helmet. So where's the red hat? Where they at? Doesn't fucking
Doesn't
matter.
matter.
Because
Nope.
we're teaching ourselves anyway. We're gonna train, we're gonna work out, we're gonna read something. And that's all. We have this thing at the station called, okay, the real name for it is our fuck list. Okay, because that fucks, right? The more appropriate word when Chief's around is it's our list for success, right? It's three things. You can do them with each other or you can do them alone. Doesn't matter. We don't have. That's the nice thing about our shift, man, is we trust each other. I don't care. I trust you. And it's an honor-based system. You have to read, you have to work out, and you have to train. Three things. If nothing else gets done, those three things must be done. And it's up to you. If you want to work out as a shift, great. You want to work out by yourself, great. You want to read something by yourself, don't care. If you do read something by yourself, hey, can you share it with us? Because we want to read too. I don't know what you're reading. We print out things, articles all the time, and just put them on the table. And if you read the article, we have tabletop conversations. Boom, right? These we just went through ISO certification, and they're like, man, how many training hours do you guys have? And they're like, you got to have like 5 a day, and everyone's like, man, that's a lot. But I was like, look, if you, Captain Brian and I were both like, look, if you think about this, if you read this thing and then we have a 20-minute conversation, which is very rare to only have 20 minutes of conversation, but you have an hour-long conversation every time you sit at the table. Dude, that's like 18 hours depending on how many times you get to sit at the table. And it's all training. So the self-initiated guys, self-initiated, whatever, self-driven. There you go.
There you go.
English. The self-driven dudes are invaluable to me. And I try to be that guy because there's nothing worse than working overtime on that shift and you're just like, where's the motivation? And then the captain walks in and you're like, God damn it, that's the motivation. I don't want that to be
Yeah.
motivation. I
Right.
want to if that's the motivation in the firehouse, what's the motivation pushing a hallway? You're gonna well, Cap's not here. Did I do a search? Like that's where my brain goes, man. I get dark really fast. So if you won't get off your butt, I refuse to sit in recliner. I'm on probation, first of all. I'm a new engineer. Also, now that I'm promoted, I'm no longer allowed to sit on recliners. Recliners are for line guys, and I'm not a line guy, so I can't sit on a recliner anymore, right? But if you won't get off the recliner and go out and do a 20-minute workout, or teach your guy, your backseat, who you're supposed to trust with your life, if you won't teach him because you're not motivated, how are you going? How do I trust you to be motivated to push this hallway with me? Because it's going to get hard. It's going to get hot. And it's going to be scary, right? So where's the trust? If you and I said this in a Instagram post that I posted on about seniority, which is we're a little off topic here, but if you expect this new guy to trust you and teach him without doing anything, then why the hell would they trust you if you're not doing anything? I don't. I write you off. Uh, and I can name some examples of guys that I don't get along with. I can work with them now, but I show up and yeah, you got to go do this, and you got to do this, and you got to do this. Cool. What are you doing? If you're not okay with a rookie asking you that question, dude, reevaluate your life. Like, you're the rookie's supposed to ask that question, right? So blackout behavior, just be better. Just be better. Like, be the person that you want teaching you, and provide that for other people.
Yeah. I think to touch base on the senior man role is you if the cap's not in the room, like you should still be the one talking about tactics and fire and training. Too often, I have seen guys want to be liked more than they want to be. I don't want to say respected, but loved. Okay, so the difference between liked and loved. Nick Saban, formerly head coach of Alabama football, right? His players fucking hated him, dude, because of the way he drove them into the ground. But at the end of the season, they loved him because they were always contending for a championship, a national championship. And that's the difference between liked and love, right? I can have an officer or a senior man that I really like to watch sports with and play ball in the bay. But when we're on the fire ground, I don't fucking love that guy. I don't love you. I don't love you behind me as my heel man when I'm pushing a hallway because I don't know if you're doing my job and I don't know if you have my back. What's more important? Unfortunately, we know being loved is more important because of the commitment you give to your people, but more often than not, we're striving just to be liked because we don't want to ruffle any feathers.
Yeah, I would also say on that, like, it's a careful balance because I've I hear that, and I hear it's better to be loved than liked, and I agree. The problem with that, though, is if you're not paying attention to your people and you don't have self-awareness, um, I'm trying to be very careful here, but if you don't have the self-awareness to realize that you're not liked or loved, right? Because you can absolutely push your guys, and I support that 100%. Um, you need to. As an officer, I think you need to be pushing your guys because if they're not doing it themselves, and even when they do it themselves, then if you don't push them, they're going to get complacent eventually. Um, so yeah, there's absolutely the thing to push them, but and I very rarely say this, um, you can do too much, right? If we run 65, we're on track right now for 6,500 calls out of two stations this year, which some people are gonna be like, yeah, that's chump change. Some people are gonna be like, holy we don't run 6,500 calls in 6 years, right? It just depends on your demographic, but that's a lot for our area. We're the busiest department outside of San Antonio on the northeast side by hundreds of calls, and we are tired, man. Like, it's not the calls are fine. Firefighters can run calls until they die, right? It's not the calls that are the problem. It's all the other things that we're having to do to try to meet these metrics or whatever. And the defense that I've had received from for that is, well, the guys are mad. They don't like me right now, but they'll love me. Because I've heard that, and there's people that know that, and the response to that is you're wrong, dude. And the reason you're wrong is because yes, you need to push your guys, absolutely. But dude, the box just got 12 runs after midnight, and if anybody doesn't believe me, we can pull up some calls. We do this often, right? The ladder was out 6 times after midnight. These dudes need to sleep. Let these guys rest, man. Don't I know you've got your docket of issues that you got to go through and these guys need to train, but I think if you can let go of that as an officer where you're here, you have to do these 25 different things. Let go of that. Build your culture to where your dudes, your senior guys, it doesn't matter to me. Senior guy is a asterisk term. But let your guys be self-starters, teach them how to self-start, support their self-motivation. They don't need to go in order, right? Some things you do, right? It'd be better to teach search before you teach RIT because RIT is basically search but for firefighters and some stuff extra, right? But if the guy wants to learn about hose pulls today, then let him learn about hose pulls. If he's willing to put out 3 hours of hose pulls, but he's only willing to do the 1 hour of RIT today that you want to put him in, what's more beneficial? Probably the thing that he wants to go do. And he's not gonna if you don't foster the culture of, hey Cap, uh I want to do some polls. I saw this thing on YouTube and which is awesome. YouTube's great. But I saw it on YouTube. I don't know if it'll work for us. Can we go like poll? We have a host prop. Can we just go pull some stuff? If the answer is not like, oh dude, yeah, then what are you doing? Now you're kneecapping your guy. Okay, well, unless it's a certain thing, right? There's always exceptions. I get that. Pub eds, all these other things that you have a multi-company training scheduled. I get that. But on the days where it's like you just put some stuff out for these dudes to learn because that's what you wanted to do, and they come to you like, "Hey, Cap, I know we got RIT scheduled, but I've been looking at the Stockton, right? Throw out Stockton because they have the really good social media YouTube videos, right? Dude, these dudes pulled this line and then they cut and then they did this way. I wonder if that would work for us. Can we mess with this today? And you're like, nah, well, maybe after we do our RIT drill and then our hose our 2.5 deployment and then our forcible entry and then because I've seen this and this has happened at our department. You get like 18 different things and they're all 1 day things. And the guys are like, well, okay. And then they don't do it because they're fucking tired. And that fosters the culture of, well, I'm only going to do what Cap sends me because if I try to go do this, I'm going to be exhausted and I'm not supported. So and it's hard to do as a leader, I think. Let that go. Let it go. Let your guys do it. I promise if you trust and you build them, if you build them up to where you don't even have to think about it, you're going to be blown away. Our captain, Captain Brian, he'll put out like, "Hey guys, uh, actually every day it's, hey, what do you guys got? What are you guys training on today?" And every day it's either Nick or me or another guy. It's like, "Hey, we want to cover this." And then, oh, and when we're done with that, we've got EMS scheduled already. Like we're already going over this SMOP. We already got it. And he's like, "Cool. Let me know when you start." There's been a couple times where we're like, "Dude, we don't know. We're drawing a blank right now." And he'll be like, "Oh, what have we gone over? What about this?" And everybody's like, "Oh, yeah, because that can tie into this and this and this." And there's no difference. There's literally no difference except for we have self starters that are supported by our captain. So I think that's an important key there.
Yeah, dude, and I always love that you always give me whenever I have my mindset on something, you always come back and you're like, "Ooh, you said this, and I get what you're saying with that, but then like here's how I received it, right?" And I've always loved you for that. And I said we were going to bring it up was the term like brand, right? I talked about this with when I was doing a presentation. I was talking about the relentless rejects, and you have black hat behavior, and then John Velez has tailboard misfits,
Yes.
and it could be misconstrued when you say, "Oh, like the relentless rejects brand is this," and you didn't receive that very well, and I want you to explain why because there are certain people, I we were not on the same page, and when we had a conversation about it, I was like, "Oh yeah, no, absolutely, dude,"
Yeah.
but when people say this brand, like how do you receive that and why is that maybe a different we should use it a different way?
Sure. So first off, it's not the end of the world, right? I am just me. I talked to my wife about it too, and she's like, "Well, I mean, he has a point." And I was like, "Yeah, I guess, right?" So I will say that, right? If that's what you go with, I respect it. You're my friend, and you were like, "Yeah, dude." It was in the presentation, and I was like, "Man, I gotta say something," because as soon as you said it, I spent the next 2 minutes thinking about it, and so I missed 2 minutes of your presentation that I think would have been great, right? So yeah, you said the Relentless Rejects brand, and as soon as I heard that, I was like, "Dude, is this a fucking advertisement or is this a brand, right? Are you in it because you love it? Are you in it because your face is it? Are you in it because you're making money?" Like to me, when I hear brand, it's you like I'm wearing a First Form shirt, right? I'm branding First Form. Uh, it's very fake to me. When I hear someone that's like, "Yeah, I set up my brand." Okay, well, you don't give a shit about the guys then because that's what brands do. Brands take over people and take their life and then take control of their life for the image of the brand. Well, that's not reality. Reality is I don't give a shit what sticker, what shoe, like I'm thinking Nike and stuff, right? Like I don't care what shoe you wear. Do you perform? Do you care? Do you teach your guys? Like that to me is more important. And the word brand is correct. You're absolutely correct in a brand. You've built this representation of what you believe, and it's an easy recognizable image that shares your mentality, and is just associated with your mentality. But I talk to you, it's like, man, I feel like you'd be able to reach further if you used the word like community or uh, the community mindset, tribe. tribe was a big one, right? Yeah, it's a relentless reject tribe. Like, dude, to me, that is so much more powerful because what does a tribe do? They support each other, they love each other, they teach each other, they hold each other accountable. There is no room for a weak person in the tribe, and if they're weak because of something happening, then they support them until they're not weak anymore. What does brands do? Nike, right? You look at Nike and Reebok and all the. I'll throw anybody under the bus. I don't give a shit. Like, what do they do? They're in it for the dollar. They're going to do everything they can to make more money. They don't really give a shit about the end user. They only care about like a percentage, a single decimal point of a percentage of the top users. And those top users don't give a shit who they're wearing. They're only doing it because they're paying them. And I say that because I've been sponsored. So that was my immediate reaction to you're like, yeah, dude, this brand. And I was like, brother, come on. No, everything was going so good. And you just killed it. Stop. No, so that's
Dude.
that's where I was coming from with that.
Well, dude, when you told me that, like my heart sank down into my stomach because I was like, "Oh no, man! Like I wasn't trying to be some like corporate fucking like puppet, man. Like I was just saying in the moment, I said Relentless Rejects brand, but there's a mission statement behind it. There's like a whole thing behind it. But as soon as you said that, I stopped using the word brand. I deleted it from my vocabulary. I was like, I'm never ever saying that
Never
again.
again.
But dude, to even build on that, a lot of firefighters, black hats, dudes that just want to be gritty and ride backseat or tailboard, whatever you ever want to call it. A lot of them are fucking anti-establishment. A lot of them are like, fuck admin, fuck command staff. Like I'm blue collar. I'm here to fucking get shit done. And when and then if you come in and you're like, oh, the Relentless Rejects brand, they're gonna be like, fuck that, dude. I'm not a brand. I want to rock. And then another way I was waiting for you to say this is like cattle has brand. The cattle are branded. Did they want to be branded? No. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so dude, ever since you said that, I'm like, never again. And I hope that people that maybe have a platform or a community understands the conversation that we're having is like, just be careful because your community there or the people that you're trying to channel, like me, are like Relentless Rejects, right? Like we're get after it type people. Even if you have haters and you have critics and even and command staff is not supporting you, like you're still doing the right thing. That's the mission. But when you say brand, you could lose a lot of people if they're not about that, like that corporate / establishment type word or language. And it could be viewed that way, but I'm glad your wife had my back. Tell her said thank you.
Yeah. I'll let her know. She's like, well, like maybe. I mean, he built it. I was like, yeah, you're not wrong, but babe, come on, like.
But so, dude, in another way, and I think I told you this when we had this conversation was I've heard podcasts from not like firefighter speakers, but with like Andy Frisella or some guy with like a first form. They say like you are your own brand.
Yes.
Like, do you want to be like a Goodwill or do you want to like talking about Under Armour and Nike? Yes, they are the pinnacle of like athletic wear or something like that, or you can be like bottom of the barrel. So that's the way I interpreted it was like you are your own brand. How you carry yourself, your character, the effort you put in, that is essentially who you are, and that's your brand. But yeah, so
No, you're totally right. That is so true. I just I hate that word. And
dude,
maybe it's a me thing, right? I'll be honest, it could be totally me thing. But as soon as you said it, I was like, dude, I hope that was. I know that's not what you meant, right? I know you don't mean, oh, look at this shiny thing because it's making money and all that. I know that's not what you're there for. But as soon I was like, bro, come on, man. No, we're not. We're not that. And so I'm glad I talked to you about it.
dude, I'm glad you did too, man. Because I mean, because I'm that guy too, man. When I was in the Navy and then my early years in the fire service, I've always been like, dude, fuck the chain of command and all this stuff. Like, it's about us. Like, we're we're we are here to serve the guy and girl next to us. I'm here to serve the community. Right now, that's all that matters. I don't
Absolutely.
care about all this shit coming from the top. You are really just getting in my way of me being able to focus on what really matters, which is the people that we serve. That's dude. I just wanted to touch on that. It was super awesome. Um, I want to talk to you a little bit more. I don't know if it's going to be under black hat behavior, but you are wanting to teach more, to share what you've learned and what you maybe have picked up along the way and in your military experience. You you want to teach more. Can you speak more on what your vision is and what your goal is with that?
Sure. So I teach with MV, MV Fire, which we mentioned earlier, and then also I've been brought on as one of the members of a ladders class with Dagum um, very recently. So I'm not claiming anything crazy. I'm happy to be there, man. I'm just happy to show up with them. I'm glad that they decided that I might be a good fit. So, but with the MV stuff, I like search. I work on a ladder truck. I'm on a ladder truck every day now. That's our bread and butter. And Captain Brian developed that class. Give kudos to him. There's a couple other people who I will absolutely shout out here that developed that class too. The before me, Daniel Drury, Logan Hughes, Ram Kano, Lugo. I don't know. That's really bad, Lugo. I don't know your other names, man. I know that's your last name, but that's all I call you by. So sorry, Lugo. Um, but these guys all like developed the class, and I got lucky enough to be brought on as kind of like a backup cadre uh with man, it's so hard for me to say his name, Matt Bryan, and I'm used to saying
Just
Cap.
say MB. Just
Yeah,
say
MB,
Matt Bryan equals MB.
it may be, and so he brought me on into the search world, and I took the class twice, and then I did a hang around, and then I started teaching it, falling in love with it. Things that we're constantly testing, constantly trying. It's not this. I mean, you've taken the class and you've helped instruct the class, so it's not your textbook class. It's not a thing you can take from a paragraph and install into a class. It's not that at all. It's all stuff that we have learned from trial and error, from guys who are successfully grabbing people out of houses. Um, we use a lot of data from Firefighter Rescue Survey, Data Not Drama, all those big people, you underwriter laboratories, all these big people that are way smarter than us. We use all of this, so there's no emotion in it, in the sense of it's not because I it makes me feel good to do this type of search, or I feel cool doing this kind of search. It's data driven, it's result driven, it's realistic, and it's things that we have done inside houses that work. And we have taken things, and if people think that we don't change the class, we have taken things out of the class because we did it on a fire and it did not work. And we're like, we're not teaching that ever again because we just got our asses kicked by this little burnt through mattress, and we got a carabiner hung up on the springs.
Mhm.
Not doing that again. We're changing how we teach that. So yeah, I mean, ultimately, I was privileged. I was given the opportunity to teach as lead over in Kansas, and I had a blast, dude. I was one of the highest points of my careers so far, right? Um, Getting hired on, promoting to engineer, and being asked to lead a class at a conference. So it really kind of made me realize like I really like teaching. I like teaching new guys, any level guys, but especially new guys, things that they might have a little bit of experience with, but they don't have everything because nobody has everything, right? And I like giving them the information because every single time I've talked to people at class, I learn just as much as they do. I've learned what they're doing. I've learned what they have done that doesn't work. I've seen some crazy things that they do that did work, and I was like, oh man, like the way that the who was that Philip, the way he picked up the kid. He was just like, yeah, just do this, and I was like, oh my god, I never thought that's so simple. Literally, just pick it like, oh, okay, you know. So I'm learning equally as much as the students, which I think is healthy. But my vision for that, I would love to go wherever MV and MB want to go, and all the other guys, wherever they want to go and teach with me. I don't care if it's only in the state of Texas. I mean, I prefer not. I know we talked a little bit. I'll go to Colorado. I'll go to wherever, man. I just want to get in front of firefighters to hopefully give them a little bit of the spark that I got. And I'm not saying that I have a spark because I'm Mr. Billy Badass and I'm a fire god. Not at all. I just want you to care. Like if I can get you to care as much as I do, I think we'll be good. And because caring and passion is extremely contagious. So if I can get you to care and you can get that drive in you, and then you start going out and doing things, and you come back in a year and you're just then you're Billy Badass, dude. I'm so happy. I'm so happy because the citizens deserve guys that are turned on to their job. Um, I mean, if you were to get an internet right and you have a problem with your internet and you call them and it's a customer service, and 9 times out of 10 they hate their job, and you're just like the whole interaction's bad. You're just like, this guy hates being on the phone with me. I hate being on the phone with this guy. It's just miserable. Uh, we the citizens don't deserve that. They're already when we're going to their house for anything medical, fire, all of that. They're already having a bad day. So their interaction with us is already starting out as a negative, and it's nothing that we can do about it. So if we show up and we're fired up and we're eager and we're passionate and we're compassionate and we're empathetic, and we can show up and really mitigate their emergency and leave a lasting impact and do the right thing. That's what they deserve.
Yeah, I tell you, man, when you said there's no emotion involved, I will push back and say like your presentation when you play Loretta Pickard's dispatch audio and you play Wakeman Ohio's dispatch audio and you break it down with pictures and slides and explain things and you talk the tactics about how we maybe could have made a difference on those calls, or we could have absolutely made a difference on those calls.
Yes.
Man, I could not stop. Like I was staring at the ground and my legs and my hands were like shaking as you're playing the dispatch. And I was fucking pissed. I just because the way you're delivering it and having to listen to it, I tell you what, man, like if you don't feel some kind of way and you're in the fire service when you hear that stuff and it doesn't make you care more about just search or tactics in general, like you probably shouldn't be in the fire service
I agree.
because it was powerful. Powerful, man. And to build on that, taking the class a year prior, I've now 2 years into it become the guy that like tries to teach what I learned from you guys in my department, and now I'm in charge of like I'm trying to create a search SOP.
Nice.
I've gotten Clackamus's search manual, and I'm trying to incorporate that stuff. And I'm having conversations with battalion chiefs right now where they're like, "We don't do split search here. We don't really go beyond the door on VEIS." And I'm like, "Well, it's VES, but." And I'm like, just having conversations right now, and it's an uphill battle, but based on just what I've learned and what I keep learning from people like you and other people that are so passionate, Sean Duffy,
Mm-hmm.
Justin McWilliams, I have the support just from those people, firefighter rescue service. I can't stop naming stuff to go to my chief. I have confidence to go to my chief and be like, this is why. And like you said, this is data driven. This is not because I think we'd be fucking awesome or cool going in and searching with a can instead of a hose line. This is why.
Yeah, it's not me looking for. I want to get there ahead of the hose line because I want my helmet to look salty as shit on the wall 20 years from now. I don't give a fuck about that, dude. I mean, I do. If I'm gonna be honest, I want a helmet that looks cool as shit. Okay, because if I go through my career and I don't have a helmet that sits on the wall that's cool as shit, like what did I do? No, I'm just kidding. But like, no, absolutely. I don't care about my gear and all this stuff. No, I don't. And I think that people, hopefully, firefighters don't have to have bad experiences to care, right? I got blessed with a really shitty experience, and so I care. It's one of the biggest reasons why I care. So if I can just ignite that and be like, "Hey, here's a hard lesson for you that I learned, and here's what I learned." Um, yeah, we don't. Yeah, like you said, I don't. I'm not teaching you this because I think it's cool. I think it's cool because it's gonna fucking work. That's the reason I'm teaching you, not. Well, I did it in my bedroom once, so it works. on my wife with no gear on.
Yeah. I mean, people ask me sometimes about like the podcast or why I post anything or why I'm putting together presentations, and they're like, "Oh, you're just trying to like make extra money on the side, like a side hustle?" And I'm like, no, honestly, I was so stagnant in my career. I didn't know what I didn't know. I'm now trying to change careers earlier than later for people. If a 1 or 2 year guy can hear a podcast and they resonate with it and they're like, oh, maybe I'll go check out this search class.
Dude,
Um, dude, imagine like
even better though. Like on that point, yes. But
yeah.
even better though. 1 2 year guy, my defining moment, I think, so far in my career was a guy last year, the first year. He was like I forget how many years he had. Old dude, old dude, senior dude, right? Salty guy. Changed his mentality and his approach to search by taking the class. But yeah, young guys, dude, future of the fire service, absolutely. If they can get pumped up and jazzed, hell yeah. But equally, and I'd say even more impressive, is when you got senior guys, 18-year dudes, 19-year dudes who are like about to retire, have been doing this thing their whole career this way, and you're here arguably telling them that their whole career was like not as good as it could have been.
Oof, yeah.
And they're like, you're right. I'm actually going to take this back. And they have pull and they're like, yeah, we're going to start doing this because this is what's right. Dude, that's where I want the impact. Um, just to make me feel good, right? That's the one that makes me feel good.
No, great point though, man. I mean, how awesome is it for those senior guys to like have that on their way out? So maybe you help their confidence when they do retire of like, oh, like I've never stopped being a student and I embrace this in my and I could have just been stagnant and not heard what he said, but you know, he's that dude. But then also like what you said, like decision makers, people with pool. If you can convince those dudes to change an SOP or change a policy in the organization, you don't have to have your name on it, but you know that there's people that are going to benefit from it.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I get great point. Good point.
I
I
also
like
wanted
that.
to touch base on you were saying like, are you putting, presentations out because you want to make a couple extra bucks? I don't know if y'all don't know this. I didn't know this, but I can say it because I'm in it now. I'm not here for the money because I tell you what, if I was in it for the money, I would not be in it. There is not money in this. I'm not Corley Moore who probably makes a couple more bucks because he's got a fantastic set of presentations and stuff, right? He's earned his money and he should. But like, I don't make money. Yes, I get paid, but like without getting into it, I guess really I don't know why that would be taboo. So if it's taboo, whatever, fire me, find me, I don't care. I'll find somebody else. Like I don't make any money. And you can talk to my wife. I'd maybe break even at best. And that's because I don't care about the money. I will do this for free, man. You call me and you say, "Hey, my guys, in fact, we're doing this next tour with one of our mutual aid companies. Hey, my guys saw this and they want to take this search stuff from you. Would you be available?" "Yep, tell me when, tell me where. I'll be there." "Oh yeah, well, we can't pay you. Don't care. Don't need it. If I'm flying somewhere, it'd be cool if you could find me a couple bucks so I can buy a plane ticket because planes are expensive as shit. But I don't care, man." That's what most of these dudes. In fact, I would say everybody that I've met so far at these conferences that are teaching, they don't care about the money. They're genuinely not there for the money because if they were there for the money, it's not enough. It's I care about the guys in the seats um, and on for me for search specifically, I can speak for sure on this. It's I care enough about these dudes because I don't want them to go home after a call that they could have done more on, and they realize in the moment that they could have done more, and then they fucking hate themselves. To tie this back into the beginning of this podcast episode, like I don't want them to be there in that deep, dark, shitty place because they didn't know what to do or they what they were taught didn't work. I want them to be able to go home and say, "Look, I did everything I could. I have done everything I've been taught. I've searched for everything. We did everything we could, and it genuinely, if it doesn't go right, there we literally did everything we could do. Not this little, wussified version of the fire service that's come about with this safety stuff where, oh yeah, we did everything we could as we stood outside and sprayed water at the house. No, you got your ass in there. You went past the door, on VES. You really went in there and you did your fucking best. And sometimes that's what happens. But you can go home at night and be like, look, I did fucking everything I could, and you can go to sleep at night. That's
Yeah.
why I'm there, because I don't
Mm.
want them to not be able to sleep at night. That shit sucks.
Yeah. I definitely have a few calls under my belt where, once again, I didn't know what I didn't know. I was brought up in the IFSTA slash safety culture realm of things where I was like, yeah, it's not, no one's alive in there. No one's survivable. Could I have gotten my ass in there? Now that I look back on it, yeah, probably. Uh, but I didn't, because we always say that, right? Like the when you're in academy, at least when I was in academy, they'd show you a picture of a window, and they're like, everyone in there is dead, so don't even waste your time. It's like, cool. Next slide.
Yeah.
You're like, fuck, dude.
Like, why are we
Yeah.
even here?
Yeah, dude, the first time I got to hear Clyde Gordon and Mo Davis speak,
Oh, yeah.
fucking phenomenal. But he busted out the blueprint of a house. And he's like, let me just break this out for you. This is a bedroom window with flames and smoke ripping out, flashover conditions, right? And he's like, would you dive in there without a water line or a hose line? No. You wouldn't do that because your gear cannot tolerate flashover conditions. We understand that. But he's like, let me break out the blueprint for you. Here's the master bedroom, 10 by 10 master bedroom. Here's an ensuite with a door, with a master bath. Here's another door that leads to a master closet, like a pretty big master closet where you can fit an entire family. And he's like, that's where your family's at.
100%.
That's where your family's at. They're sitting behind two doorways, waiting for you to come get them. And you're sitting on the outside and be like, no one's alive in that window right there. There's no point in me going.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit.
That's
Just
the
drop the
start,
bomb.
man. That's the
Drop the
start.
bomb. Yeah.
Because you're like, shit,
It-
now it's time for me to know.
yeah. But then I was like, who the fuck's Clyde Gordon? I don't know that dude. I don't give a shit. No, of course not, man. Dude, we barely even scraped the surface on the topics that we wanted to go over because we dove so deep into that mental health aspect of things, which I think is extremely powerful. And you did bring it back around with why you're teaching, which is amazing. But we're up on an hour and a half, so we're gonna have to do this again. But real quick, are you teaching anywhere this year? Do you have anything in the books right now?
Honestly, I put that on the back burner right now with the kid coming the next month. At a conference, I don't know yet. I know that they're doing some stuff down. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going anywhere planned right now. I got the baby, so that's what I'm worried about. But next year, I'm going to be trying for sure to go back to Kansas, and then I'd love to go see you sometime if
For
that's
sure.
something we can
Yeah.
work out.
Let me work on my Chiefs a little bit, twist some arms, let them embrace a little bit of the split search and all this other stuff, and then bring you guys in to reinforce the tactics.
And then I'll give you this. I'll tell you the same thing I told that guy in class, man. Hey, give your chief my number.
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
Call me.
Oh, dude, you got to tell that story though. You got to tell it.
Oh, it's about the OSHA. The yeah. So Texas or Kansas is an OSHA state, so they follow OSHA rules, right? And yeah, you were there, so this is great. The guy we're talking about 2 in 2 out, and the whole legality of the 2 in 2 out. Um, you have to have two people fully geared on the outside before you can have two people commit to the interior for fire attack. Which means you have to have four firefighters on scene before you can commit a hose line for a fire attack, interior fire attack on a fire in the incipient stage. Blah, 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 all this legality crap, which is basically a good way to say I don't want to do my job because I'm scared, or I don't know what I'm doing. So this doesn't apply to search, and the reason it doesn't apply to search is there's multifacets, but we'll start with the first one. First, legally, uh, I'm not going in for fire attack. I'm going in for search and rescue, and the definition says fire attack. So loophole number one. Loophole number two is that in the sentence in the actual like from OSHA, it says unless there is a reasonable belief that there is a person inside or a victim or something. I forget the exact verbiage, so just a paraphrase. But reasonable belief, and then you go into the definition of reasonable belief, right? What is the definition of reasonable belief? Well, it's the reasonable belief, the belief of someone that can, the layperson could defend that there is somebody inside, right? And you don't have to be right. That's the beautiful thing about it. If you look at a house and you tell anybody, hey, here's a house. This is a man-made structure. People made it to live in. Would it be reasonable to expect that a person is inside? The answer is yes. Any man-made structure is reasonably believed to be occupied because man made it. It's not a cave. It's not a shaft straight down in the pit with no rungs on it. No, it's a house or a building. So it's reasonable to believe that there's a person inside of it. So that is another way that the 2 in 2 out rule does not apply. And so he meant well, and I love that he was in the class because it really showed how far some of the fire services come and how far stagnated some of it is, and it's just because they don't have exposure. Uh, and so he was like, "Yeah, let me take a picture of the OSHA slide." I was like, "Cool. Why? Like, that's fine, do it. But like, what's up?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna send it to my chief." And a little spice, yeah. And I was like, "Well, feel free to send him my number too, because he can call me anytime. And I'll tell him why he's wrong." He was like, oh, "Okay."
Yeah. Was that
So
the same guy that asked about why you search with your hands and not a tool?
yeah,
Yeah.
so dude, bless his heart, man. That guy, he was honest and he was committed, and he was telling the truth, right? He was honest,
Yes.
and I knew that because his answers were immediate. It was, "Hey, who still grabs the boot when you're going to do a search?" "Oh yeah, we do that." "Okay." Explained it, right? "Hey, here's what's up. Hey, this is why. Da, 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 da. Hey, who still searches with a tool?" "Boom. Our guys." "Okay, why?" "Well," and then that's what that video showed me of, dude. I looked at that. My wife told me, she's like, "Man, you're kind of an asshole." And I was like, "Well, I didn't mean to. I know it was my tone, like, but it's important because you're gonna smack me with a tool. That's cool, but then you're not gonna know who I am anyway. So why would
Your
you?
face is
Why would
gone.
you? Yeah, why would you do that step? That's just See. It sounds really good. That's one of the things about teaching, right? In the textbook, that makes sense. Oh, dude, I got this tool that I take everywhere with me, and it's 3 feet long, so I could sit in the middle of a room, and I've got 6 feet of reach. That makes perfect sense, textbook wise. But then you're going to hit anything with it if you can even swing it, because that's not even talking about hoarding conditions. But you swing it, and then you hit something, and you're like, "Oh shit, what I hit?" And what do you have to do? You have to go find what you hit and then identify it, or identify what
Jab
it's
at it
not.
8 more times with your tool. Just be like, is that
Is
a
that a
victim as you're like
face?
poking it
A
8 times?
baby's face that I'm just smashing in with my axe handle? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
dude, that was another one, man, where you're talking about searching underneath the window, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, I won't tell the story, but there was a quote that said, "If you pike my baby's face, then you'll get a pike up your ass." So I'm
It
like,
was I was trying to be humorous with it, and but I
I
wanted to
laughed.
drive the point across, like yeah, because it's happened. Firefighters have put a pike of a Halligan through a kid's skull. And I was like, "Man, if you're the firefighter that comes to my house and you pike my kid in the skull, I'm gonna return it right in your anus."
Yeah, man. But you know what? Like, okay, so let's clarify, dude, because we're only giving like little tidbits of the lecture.
Yeah, that's true.
What needs to be explained is you are so passionate about this subject. And at a certain point, you are kind of being like no nonsense about it. Like, this is why this is serious. We need to understand that certain tactics do not work, they don't benefit citizens. And here's why. And you did a great job explaining it. So we will make sure to clarify that. But your passion was pouring out. Dude, so I will let them know, like, when you're up there teaching, like if you have this, if you, the way you present yourself is not PC, like there's no time for that shit right now. Like, I'm trying to teach you something to save lives
Yeah,
and yourself.
absolutely. It's like being on a fire scene, right? we can be at the station. I understand we talk a certain way, and I run into this because I have admin at the station. I have admin. Like I'm a little more proper. I'm a little less firefighter-y. You know, kitchen table still a sanctuary, but can't be saying all the same stuff, and that's fine. That's how society is. I'm gonna ask you to do things respectfully. I'm gonna say, hey, can you go do this for me? Hey, can you go get that done for me? Hey, the chainsaw needs to be serviced. Nick, can you go grab it for me, please? And that's great. That's fine and dandy. We have time. On a fire scene, I'm not talking to you like that. I promise. And I did it like last week with one of the guys on a different shift. I was working overtime, went to a structure, got sent to the roof for a hole. He'd never cut a hole. I don't have time, man. Like, if you don't know what to do, that's fine. I'm here. That's why I'm lead and you're not, right? But if you don't know what to do, I don't have time to sit here and explain it. Well, first you do this and then you got to do this. And remember, we got to do, I don't have time. I'm wasting air. So it's very direct. Do this, do that. I swear with as exclamation points, basically, when I talk, right? Like, so it's a lot of that, and it's very direct. And then afterwards, it's like, hey, man, now we have time to talk about this is why. So I think, yeah, like to your point, I don't have the ability to affect that sort of urgency and that sort of intensity in a classroom unless it's aggressive. And I'm gonna let you know, like you said, this is important, and I want you to, I think I said this in the class too, I want you to be able to go home at night and live with the decisions that you made. And if I don't impact, or if I teach you something wrong, or you take something incorrect from me, and you go back and you do that and you can't live with yourself at night, dude, that's my fault. That's my burden. You're carrying it, but that's because of me. So I'm not going to do that. And I don't care if it's a chief, I don't care if it's a civilian in the classroom. I'm not changing it because everybody needs to see it. You can ask HR. Our HR department came in and listened to our slides like a month before Kansas, and I didn't change anything. I'm telling you how it is because you came to me. You wanted to come see what the fire department's about. Hey, you can't go in a fire with us, but I can tell you exactly what we're going to say and how we're going to act because this is important.
Beautiful, man. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the conference that's in Kansas. It's the LCC Fire School that happens like early spring, like March, April timeframe. Andrew Johnson right now is the one that's kind of coordinating a lot of things. It's for me, it's like a hidden gem. It's like a diamond in the rough. I absolutely love that place. The people that they are able to bring in and the people that are willing to learn, it's amazing. Love it. I want to bring Andrew Johnson at some point on the podcast to talk about it, but he's a family man. He's busy. He's running a firehouse too, on top of all the things. But we will get him on to talk about fire school because it's an amazing place, and we got to get some more people out there
Absolutely.
for sure, dude. All right, man. Well, as we wrap up the podcast, I know you've already kind of hit on a lot of stuff, but as a final takeaway, I want to give you a moment to express your final thoughts for the audience. Like, if they take one thing away from the podcast, what would that be? What would be your message be?
Oh, that's a good one, man. Sum it down really, really simply. Just do the right thing. Do the right thing. It doesn't matter who it is. Doesn't matter who it's for. It doesn't matter the situation. Just do the right fucking thing. Do right by your crew, the civilians, right? Doing the right thing allows you to be able to live with your decisions when you go home. And for family first, right? The people that you go home to are around you more than the fire service is. And you owe them the ability to go home and be at rest. You owe that to them because they're not at rest when you're at work. And if you think that they are, you're wrong. So when you go home, you owe them the ability to go home and get some rest. So do the right thing so that you can live with yourself and live with your decisions.
Beautiful way to wrap up the podcast. Thank you. That is the final thoughts for engineer Josh Watt. And before we close it out, how can people get a hold of you if they want to ask you a few more questions or basically see where you're going to be whenever you figure that out?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, Black Hat Behavior. I share it to my personal Facebook, just Josh Watt. If you message me on Facebook, you might just have to type it in my timeline because I have my privacy settings set weird from the Army. But yeah, that, or you can send me an email, blackhatbehavior@gmail.com. I'm always on my email, I always have my phones. Yeah, anyway, like that. I respond to DMs on Instagram pretty quick. So,
Nice. Yeah. If you aren't already doing it, make sure you follow the Black Hat Behavior brand. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, man. Dude, thank you so much for coming on in short notice and knocking it out of the park. And I've taken enough time away from your family. So that'll be a wrap on episode 48 of the Relentless Rejects podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Stay tuned for the next episode.
thanks, man.